Gary Nigon, thanks for being with us for which is, by my count, the 41st panel of the year. Nigon, let's start with you. What are a couple of the stories that stand out in your mind from the past year?
Well, I think clearly the APTN National chief election drama would probably be right up there at the top. I would also add in the election of the First Nations premier in Manitoba. And then on top of that, I think the general disharmony or disunity, or I don't really know what to call it, but certainly Canada's parliament is looking a lot like it needs some third-party management. For those of us who are in Indigenous politics, oftentimes mainstream Canadian media points to our governments and goes, what a mess First Nations and Métis governments are. Well, I tell you that there is nothing more dysfunctional, nothing more disastrous than watching question period in Parliament and the rancor and division and the absolute nonsense and conspiracy theories that are being bandied about now. And I think certainly that's something worth talking about.
Carrie, what about for yourself? What do you recall as some of the biggest stories for 2023?
Of course, WAB top of mind. The landfills, MIW issues, and of course, AFN has dominated a lot of our talk within here in Saskatchewan and beyond, and reconciliation. Like, what does it look like? There's still a lot of discussion when it comes to reconciliation and how it's impacting individuals and organizations, governments, etc.
Yeah, the whole thought of reconciliation has certainly been taking a hit over the last few weeks. Not even one TRC calls to action addressed this year. Turning ahead, I guess, to 2024, Nigon, what do you see as on the horizon in the new year?
I agree with Carrie. I think the landfill issue will continue to dominate. But, just in Winnipeg here, there was a 14-year-old girl who was murdered and an Indigenous young woman. We continue to be ground zero here in Winnipeg for the issue of murder missing Indigenous women and girls and Two-Spirit people. And so I think that's an issue that will be very prevalent. I think one of the bigger issues that's coming out of that is the issue, of course, of poverty and chronic homelessness, not just in Winnipeg, but also throughout the entire country. Mm-hmm. And we know that that disproportionately impacts Indigenous peoples. It is our relatives who are the ones who are sleeping outside. And I know certainly I'm spending the rest of today working on a story about how people without a home celebrate a holiday that's supposed to be all about homes. And so I think the other issues that are coming out is around inflation. And we all know that the way Canada spends its way out of inflation or tries to get its way out of inflation is by taking Indigenous lands and resources. That's the way that Canada has proceeded in the past. And the issue of lithium is becoming a very big issue here in the prairies, also in Ontario, the Ring of Fire. I think there's going to be a big collision coming up in 2024 around the issue of Indigenous rights because Canada is going to try to move those projects quickly.
Carrie, what about yourself? What do you see as coming up in 2024?
The upcoming federal election, I think that's going to be a lot of talk, and we're going to see a lot of action in terms of the political environment and the political climate. Moving into just climate in general, I think there is a real focus on climate change, clean energy. Nigon mentioned lithium. There's so much happening right now in terms of looking ahead and trying to meet, trying to put an end to what we're ultimately facing when it comes to climate change. We've had record storms, weather. It can't be ignored. And so I think climate change, the political environment, and the opioid crisis, and the introduction of new, more dangerous drugs. I know that I think there's one called track or something. I don't know. It's just a really scary time when it comes to some of these issues that are on the horizon.
Indeed. Carrie and Egon, we'll leave it there for 2023. Wish you both all the best for the holiday season, and we'll catch back up with you in a few weeks.
See you in the new year.
Happy New Year.